Have you ever seen one moment completely change a player's career? Because that's exactly what happened to Kennedy Carter. One controversial hit on Caitlin Clark didn't just dominate headlines. It sparked one of the biggest debates women's basketball has seen in years. Some fans called it competitive basketball. Others believed it crossed a line that should never have been crossed. Fast forward to today, and Carter finally had the chance to face the Indiana Fever again wearing a new jersey, hoping to prove she had moved on. Instead, the night turned into something very different. And by the end of the game, the player everyone was talking about wasn't Kennedy Carter at all. It was Sophie Cunningham. To understand why this matchup carried so much emotion, you have to go back to June of 2024. The Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky were already building one of the hottest rivalries in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark had become the league's biggest attraction almost overnight, with every game drawing massive attention from fans and the media. Every hard foul, every heated exchange, every controversial moment instantly became national news. Then came the play that changed everything. The ball wasn't even live. Clark wasn't attacking the basket or fighting for a rebound. As she waited for the next possession, Kennedy Carter stepped into her path and delivered a hard body check that knocked Clark to the floor. Players stopped. Fans inside the arena reacted immediately. Within seconds, social media exploded. Officials initially ruled it an ordinary personal foul, but that decision only fueled the controversy. After reviewing the play, the league upgraded it to a flagrant 1, and suddenly the conversation wasn't just about one foul anymore. It became a debate about player safety, sportsmanship, and whether the league was doing enough to protect its biggest stars. What happened afterward only made the story even bigger. While Caitlin Clark tried to move on quickly, saying basketball is emotional and physical, Kennedy Carter handled the questions much differently. During her post-game media session, she declined to discuss Clark, ending every question almost before it started. That response became another headline, keeping the controversy alive for days instead of letting it fade away. Fans split into two camps. Some defended Carter, arguing basketball has always been physical and emotions boil over during intense games. Others believed the hit had nothing to do with basketball and everything to do with frustration. No matter which side people supported, one thing was impossible to ignore. Everyone was talking about Kennedy Carter. But as the headline slowly disappeared, another story was unfolding behind the scenes. Despite averaging impressive scoring numbers, Carter's future suddenly became uncertain. Teams across the league knew exactly how talented she was. Nobody questioned her ability to score. The real question was whether the attention surrounding her was becoming bigger than the production she brought on the court. When Chicago eventually moved in a different direction, many fans were surprised. Losing one of your top scorers isn't normally an easy decision. Yet sometimes organizations believe chemistry matters just as much as talent, and that's exactly what many observers began debating. Before long, Carter found herself looking for another opportunity, and that's when her basketball journey took an unexpected turn. Instead of staying in the WNBA, she continued her career overseas. She played in Mexico, then later in China, determined to remind everyone why she had been considered one of the league's most explosive offensive players. Night after night, she filled up the scoreboard, proving that her scoring ability had never disappeared. Her numbers overseas were outstanding. She attacked the basket with confidence, created shots almost at will, and once again looked like the player who could take over games. Every big performance raised the same question among fans. Would another WNBA team give her another chance? Eventually, that answer became yes. The Las Vegas Aces decided they were willing to take the risk. For a championship contender, adding another scorer off the bench made plenty of sense. If Carter could simply focus on basketball, the move had the potential to become one of the smartest signings of the season. But there was one twist nobody could ignore. Her first matchup against the Indiana Fever instantly became one of the most anticipated games on the schedule. Not because of standings, not because of playoff implications, because everyone remembered what happened 2 years earlier. And while most of the attention centered on whether Carter would finally have her redemption moment, someone else on Indiana had a completely different plan. Sophie Cunningham wasn't interested in the headlines. She was focused on making sure Carter never became the story of the game. Every time she checked into the game, there was no space to catch the ball comfortably, no easy driving lanes, and certainly no Cunningham has... She isn't afraid to play physical, fight through screens, or do the little things that rarely appear on highlight reels. While fans often notice her energy and intensity, what makes her valuable is her willingness to take on difficult defensive assignments. Against Las Vegas, she embraced that challenge from the very beginning. Every possession became a battle. When Carter tried to curl around screens, Cunningham was already there. When she looked for an open passing lane, Cunningham disrupted the timing. Even simple catches became difficult because Indiana refused to let Carter get comfortable for even a second. That's the kind of defense that doesn't always show up in a stat sheet, but coaches absolutely love it. Meanwhile, the game itself remained incredibly close. Neither team could create much separation during the first half. Every basket seemed to be answered by another one on the opposite end of the floor. She attacked the rim with confidence, knocked down... Every time Las Vegas looked ready to take control, Mitchell responded with another big basket. Aliyah Boston was just as important. Known primarily for her work inside the paint, Boston showed another layer of her game by stretching the floor and forcing defenders to respect her shooting range. That made life much easier for Indiana's guards, opening driving lanes that weren't there earlier in the season. At halftime, the Fever held only the slimmest of leads. The game could still go either way. But whatever happened inside Indiana's locker room during the break completely changed the night. The third quarter belonged to the Fever. Indiana suddenly played with a different level of energy. Loose balls became fast break opportunities. Missed shots turned into offensive rebounds. Every defensive stop quickly became another scoring chance. Las Vegas simply couldn't keep up. While Indiana's offense became more aggressive, the Aces' offense started falling apart. Three-point shots refused to fall. Turnovers began piling up. Possessions became rushed and disorganized. Then came perhaps the biggest surprise of the entire evening. Kennedy Carter, the player many expected. When she finally received the basketball, Indiana immediately collapsed on her. The confidence she had displayed overseas never seemed to appear. Instead of attacking defenders, she often found herself forced to give the ball up before creating anything dangerous. For a player known for explosive scoring, it was an unusually quiet performance. As Indiana's lead continued growing, frustration became visible across the Las Vegas bench. Head coach Becky Hammon later admitted her team simply ran out of energy during the second half. Whether it was fatigue, Indiana's defensive pressure, or a combination of both, the Aces never found an answer. And while everyone expected Carter to provide a spark, that moment never arrived. Instead, Sophie Cunningham continued doing exactly what she'd been doing all night, competing, fighting through every screen, making every possession difficult,